Hello everybody, this is Dave Dugdale, learningdslrvideo.com, and today I'm going to try something very different from my traditional podcast. Instead of audio, this one's going to be done in video. My guest on today's show is Luke Neumann of Danielle, photo and video, if I'm getting that right, who I found on YouTube that has some awesome video tutorials on DSLRs, and he's a pretty good storyteller. So Luke, welcome to the show.
Hey David, thanks for having me on.
So Luke, what's your background in video? Kind of how did you get started in video? And what is your most current project you're working on?
I probably started making movies when I was 10 or 11. My parents got one of those old VHS cameras, and I started making movies with my friend Pete, who I work with now, and my younger sister Hannah. And our movies back then were pretty bad quality. No music, no editing, but we had a lot of fun doing it, and we spent a lot of time doing it. We've probably made over 500 movies in between now and then. But really, with taking movies seriously and doing it for kind of a living, I've only been doing that for about 3 years. And that's kind of been a learning process as far as learning how to get good quality out of your videos. And if you're going to be doing it as a profession, and if you want people to take you seriously, I figured out that you need to have good quality. And as far as what I'm working on now, Pete, Marika, my wife, and I are working on a short film called Nick Valley, and we're trying to get it financed through Kickstarter.com, and we're actually out and about filming the trailer and stuff for that today.
Your most popular video on Howcast is How to Yodel. I really like how you put some storytelling into each one of your videos, like the one on How to Sword Fight. It's kind of has a real nice comedy feel where the narration is serious, but the video is almost sarcastic. So how many people do you have helping you make these videos?
Usually it's just myself, my wife, Marika Neumann, and my good friend Pete Dryden. Sometimes there's a couple more people that help out, but that's generally the core group. Like I said, I've been working with Pete probably since I was 10 or 11. And me and Pete's relationship goes back even before movies. When we were, 6, we used to play G.I. Joes together. And when we'd play G.I. Joes, I mean, we would, create movie scenes. We'd have hundreds of G.I. Joes, and they'd be on this big set, and we'd have action sequences and wars. So that kind of working relationship goes back, almost as far as I can remember. And with my wife, she really wasn't into video or anything like that before she met me, but since we've been together, she's really blossomed into a really good filmmaker, and she knows just a lot about video in general. So it's nice to have 3 different opinions, and everyone knows what they're doing, and we all work really well together. So
I really like your last slider video. What slider do you use and how do you like it? Also, what tripod do you use? Because I noticed you're getting some really nice tilt slide movement, and I wondered what type of tripod you had to be able to make that kind of angle with your slider shots.
I use a GlideTrack SD shooter, and I'm extremely happy with it. I've had it for about 6 months now, and I use it all the time. The tripod, on the other hand, isn't great quality, but with DSLRs, they're so light that I don't really think you need too heavy duty of a tripod. It comes into play when I'm doing time lapses and stuff like that, and I need it to be perfectly still. The slightest movement will move it. I actually use a Vivitar tripod. I don't know. And, it does its job for the DSLR, so that's all I really need it to do.
The main reason I wanted to have Luke come on the show was because he uses Sony Vegas like I do, and he seems to really know how to color his videos well. Can you tell us when you got started color correcting or color grading your videos?
I started editing in Corel ULEAD, and they have some very basic color correction tools. That was probably 2 to 3 years ago, and I just like the aspect of being able to change the feel of the movie just by tweaking the color a little bit. And I've gotten more and more into it lately with Magic Bullet Mojo and even using some After Effects tools to really bring out the color and get my shots to look exactly, what I had in mind when I was shooting.
Starting off with picture styles, do you start with a flat setting, kind of like that prolos.com setting where everything's kind of flat? And if so, can you give us your sharpness, contrast, saturation, and tone settings?
Yeah, I shoot in a custom picture style. I've tried downloading those presets from the internet, like super flat, and I just don't like the look of those too much, especially when I'm just shooting something on the fly and I don't want to color correct very much. But my custom picture style is sharpness and contrast all the way down as far as they can go. I believe it's -7, and then color tone and saturation are at the default of 0.
Next up, I wanted to ask you about filters. Do you use any like circular polarized filters outside or ND filters?
No, we don't mess around with filters too much. It's something I'm kind of starting to think about, but generally we can fix most of the settings in camera. And as you can see in lovely Oregon, we generally have cloud cover, so lighting is always pretty good.
So moving into Sony Vegas, what is your workflow for color grading your shots?
The first thing I do is drag my clip down the timeline, and then I take from color corrector secondary a reset to none preset, and I put that onto the clip. And unless the shot is perfectly lit, I'll start out by taking the gain down to 0.9. And what this does in my mind is just flattens the image and starts to give it a filmic look, even more so than what you're getting straight out of the camera. At that point, I'll use the gamma and I'll kind of tweak with that and get the lighting basically perfect. So the first thing I do is lighting, and with gain and gamma from color corrector secondary. And then I go to Magic Bullet Mojo and I drag the default preset down onto the clip. And I'll usually go through each setting and tweak it to make the shot look the way I like. As far as Magic Bullet Mojo goes, I usually don't mess with punch it too much because I usually like to crush the blacks and stuff with gamma and color corrector secondary.
And lastly, do you add any vignetting effects at the end of your workflow to kind of help focus in on the subject in the center of the frame?
I used to use vignette a lot, actually, but lately I've been moving away from it. When I do use it now, I'll use it very sparingly, and I usually have the size of the vignette be really small, and then gradually the screen gets a little darker. I just found that too much heavy vignette around the edges, it looks fake. I always think it looks good when it's actually coming out of the camera, but it's something that seems kind of hard to duplicate in color correction.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Luke, where can people find you online and learn more about what you do?
Thanks for having me. You can go to www.youtube.com/DOD3032 or my wife and I's business website, which is www.danielledaniel.com.
Well, thanks for stopping by. If this is a success, doing it this way, if other people like this format, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll do some more of these. Thanks. Bye.